In the early hours of April 26, 1986, the night sky above northern Ukraine lit up with a strange blue glow. A powerful explosion ripped through reactor number 4 at the Chernobyl nuclear power plant. A test that should have been routine turned into one of the most famous industrial accidents in human history. Within seconds, radioactive steam and debris shot high into the air. Firefighters rushed in without knowing the true danger. Some stood just meters from the burning reactor, fighting the flames with no special protection. Brave engineers stayed behind, making split-second decisions to stop a second, even bigger explosion that could have wiped out half of Europe. The nearby city of Pripyat, full of families and children, would be evacuated forever. Within days, the streets were empty. A Ferris wheel in an amusement park, planned to open for May Day, would never carry its first passengers. Millions of people suffered and died from radiation exposure, with effects continuing for many years after that day. Chernobyl became a war that still makes people think of danger, fear, and nuclear power itself. But here is the surprising part. Even after such a disaster, nuclear power is still used all over the world. So, the question comes naturally. Are we truly safe now? Or could a disaster like Chernobyl ever happen again with today's nuclear power plants? Hi everyone, and thank you for joining me again on ProjectNOTOS. If you have been here before, you know I love sharing big ideas in a way that is easy to follow and fun to listen to. But this topic is something special. It starts with one of the most traumatic events in modern history, Chernobyl, and then opens up into the fascinating world of nuclear power plants, how they were invented, how they work, and why we still use them today. This time, I want to take you straight into a moment in history, one that changed how the world thinks about energy forever, and we look at it from a different perspective. So, stick with me because by the end of this video, I'll explain why disasters like Chernobyl are now extremely unlikely to happen again. And I'll also share some fascinating curiosities you probably didn't know about nuclear power. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, please do it. It really helps us grow and bring you even more content and stories like this one. Alright, it's all ready, let's dive in. The story of nuclear power is the story of the atom itself. In the 1930s, scientists discovered that when you split an atom of uranium, it releases incredible energy. During World War II, that knowledge was turned into weapons. But after the war ended, people began to imagine a peaceful side to this discovery. By the way, if you are curious about how nuclear energy was used to build the nuclear weapons, check out our other video on that topic after this one. The link is in the description. In 1954, the world's first nuclear power plant opened in Obninsk, in the Soviet Union. It didn't produce a lot of electricity, but it proved that the idea worked. Soon after, in the United States, United Kingdom, and France, engineers raced to build larger and more efficient reactors. The dream was simple: a future where electricity was cheap, powerful, and clean. By the late 1970s, nuclear energy supplied entire regions with power. Cities glowed at night thanks to reactors quietly running in the distance. Some even call it the energy of the future, a symbol of progress and modern life. Okay, but how does a nuclear power plant work? Let's break it down step by step. A nuclear power plant's main job is to boil water. This might sound simple, but the way it does it is so special. Inside the reactor are fuel rods filled with uranium. When an uranium atom splits, what scientists call fission, it releases heat and more neutrons. Those neutrons hit other atoms, causing them to split too. This creates a controlled chain reaction that produces a huge amount of heat. The heat produced inside the reactor turns water into extremely hot, pressurized steam. That steam rushes through thick pipes and drives a massive turbine, spinning its blades at incredible speed. The turbine is connected to a generator, and inside that generator, coils of wire move through magnetic fields. This is the principles of electromagnetism. That movement creates an electric current, and that is how the plant turns nuclear energy into the electricity that powers our homes, cities, and industries. No burning coal, no smokestacks. But here's the catch. This whole process needs a huge amount of water. The water isn't just for making steam. It's also used to cool down the reactor and keep everything in balance. Without constant cooling, the temperature inside could rise too much, and that's when serious problems can begin. We often talk about Chernobyl as a machine failure, but it was also a human story. That night, workers were under pressure to complete a test before a deadline. Communication was poor. When the power level in the reactor dropped too low, operators tried to fix it by pulling out too many control rods. This made the reactor unstable, breaking that delicate balancing equation. When they finally pressed the emergency shutdown, a design flaw caused a sudden surge, leading to the explosion. For the people living nearby, the disaster was sudden and shocking. Buses arrived to evacuate the city, with officials telling families they would return in a few days, but no one ever came back. Modern nuclear plants are very different from the one at Chernobyl. After the disaster, governments and engineers around the world reviewed every step of reactor design. Today, reactors have multiple safety layers. If one system fails, another takes over. If something unexpected happens, the reactor is designed to shut itself down automatically. Most modern plants are built inside thick containment buildings, which are huge domes of steel and concrete. Even in extreme accidents, these structures prevent radiation from escaping. In Chernobyl's RBMK reactor, there was no strong containment structure, so when the explosion happened, radiation escaped freely. In modern reactors, by contrast, those massive reinforced concrete domes would have trapped radiation and prevented such a disaster. It's also worth remembering, statistically, nuclear power is far safer than most other energy sources. Coal plants, for example, cause air pollution that kills millions of people every year. Nuclear accidents are rare, and modern designs make them rarer still. The technology behind nuclear energy keeps evolving. There are pressurized water reactors, boiling water reactors, and new designs like Generation 4 reactors that use different fuels or coolants. Some next-generation reactors are built to burn all nuclear waste, transforming it into clean electricity instead of letting it sit unused. This could help solve one of the biggest challenges of nuclear power: long-term waste storage. And beyond fission, scientists are working on fusion energy, the same process that powers the sun. Fusion would be even safer and produce almost no long-lived waste. It's still experimental, but huge projects like ITER in France are working to make it real. And now, as always, we've reached one of my favorite parts: fun facts and curiosities. Let's see what surprises nuclear power has for us. The Chernobyl plant kept running its other reactors for years after the accident. The last reactor was finally shut down in 2000, ending all operations at the site. At the time of the explosion, radiation levels near Reactor 4 were thousands of times higher than normal, enough to be deadly within minutes. Today, while some hotspots remain dangerous, the average radiation levels dropped significantly. In France, more than 70% of electricity comes from nuclear energy, making it one of the cleanest grids in the world. A single uranium fuel pellet, about the size of your fingertip, can produce as much energy as a ton of coal. And because nuclear fuel is so energy dense, nuclear power plants can generate electricity at a lower cost over time compared to many fossil fuels. Nuclear submarines carry tiny reactors that let them travel underwater for months without refueling. The Chernobyl exclusion zone, dangerous for humans, has become home to bears, wild horses, birds, wolves, and even dogs. Chernobyl was a tragedy. It changed how the world thinks about nuclear power, and it taught us lessons that make today's reactors far safer. So, nuclear energy is not perfect, but it remains one of the most powerful tools we have to create electricity without polluting our planet. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed this mix of history and science, don't forget to leave a like and share it with someone like you who loves learning new things. And if you want more videos like this, subscribe and hit that bell. There are so many amazing stories waiting for us to explore together. See you in the next one!